Texas native, American actress and model Amber Heard was raised Catholic by her father. She grew up with horses and regularly went hunting and fishing. She later became non-religious but rejected the label of an atheist. One of the most vocal LGBTQ rights activists in Hollywood, she dated both men and women. She is also involved in a domestic and sexual violence awareness campaign and advocates for representation and diversity in Hollywood. Despite the fact that she is one of the leading actresses of our time, she values solitude above all else. We have collected a few Amber Heard quotes from articles, interviews, her speeches and social media posts. Let's take a look at what she has to say about acting, the entertainment industry, LGBTQ rights, domestic and sexual violence against women, female empowerment, celebrity privacy, and family. I have always been willing to face obstacles. I have always been willing. You can't respect yourself if you're afraid to be who you really are. My best friend died in a car accident when I was 16 years old. It was the most difficult emotional shock that I had to experience. Suddenly you realize that tomorrow may not come. Now I live by the motto, today is all I have. What could be worse than an unlived life? If I had to write one sentence about myself, I would write, I did not waste a single second. I have always wanted with all my heart to rebel against everything that is expected of me. I've never sat on the couch for more than 20 minutes in my life. I'm chronically allergic to boredom. I firmly believe that anyone can have the body they want, as long as they are willing to work on it. Before I take a big step, I always ask myself, would I be comfortable telling my future daughter about it? Or my mom? I live half reason, half emotion. It is very important for me as a person to make the world a better place in the smallest, most subtle way that I can. I'm a complete nerd. I'm really clumsy. If there's something that can be broken, I will break it. It's like I have magical powers for that. Like I could break a vase just by looking at it the wrong way. I love old cars, vintage clothes, shoot antique weapons and can easily imagine myself in the 60s of the last century. Cars, music, women's fashion, I like everything there. I do what I love. I enjoy the benefits of my job, traveling. I have a great time and really enjoy it. I love my job. All I ever needed was myself. I would like to see women powerful, complex, smart, self-confident and take them seriously, even if they are beautiful. Even more, I would like to see women of different standards, except for the superficial ones that we adhere to. I love strange people. People who, intentionally or unintentionally, stand outside the norms of our society. They are fundamentally more interesting. You can't respect yourself if you're afraid to be who you are. It takes a certain amount of courage to do something that no one around is doing. But I preferred the risk to the usual Hollywood false pretense. You are your own personal worst critic. I don't think I can judge myself objectively. When I'm at my premieres, I want to run away from the audience as soon as I appear on the screen. Young women from a very young age are taught that life will be easier if you can just turn on the charming smile and say very little and be complacent and docile and sweet. I'm thankful for the work that feminists like Gloria Steinem have done. I am a feminist, but the geography for women today is vastly different than it was in the 60s. I don't know if I've owned a piece of technology that I hated. I don't think I would have owned it then. I think I've always had a certain amount of skepticism of this whole shut up and smile theory. I haven't ever swallowed that pill so easily, although I tried. I can sit in front of the TV and watch an old romantic film and be transfixed. I think there's an instinct to make grotesque horror films that are purely carnal. like the Saw movies. When I go into making a movie, personally, I don't try to bring other pieces of movies with me. One of the biggest challenges in my job is letting go of the movie once you go home at night, and knowing you can't do anything to your performance once you've laid it on film. I buy records, vinyl. I have a record player at home. You feel better when you're eating food that retains nutritional value. I grew up in Texas, and people love their American-made muscle cars there. I grew up around people who loved cars and took care of cars, and my dad's a big car nut, so I learned a little bit about cars, how to love them. Most importantly, I think that from the time I could remember, I've always envisioned myself in a vintage muscle car.